On the planet Mars, there are uncharted terrains and strange life forms. A lone professor has dedicated 30 years of his life to studying whether the planet could ever be made habitable for human life. Each day, he gathers data, operates his research robots, and logs environmental reports, hoping to one day deliver the good news to his organization stationed out in space. But one fateful day, the unexpected happens. A strange and terrifying monster, the kind no human had ever documented, appears from the wilds of the planet and completely destroys the professor's robot. Shocked and alarmed, the professor quickly records a video message, warning his space organization about the dangerous creature and pleading with them to come investigate the situation before it's too late. The video is transmitted and received by the organization floating somewhere in orbit. But it never reaches the right hands, not immediately at least. At the top of the organization is an unusual figure, a polar bear named Beta. He's the symbolic head of the group, while real leadership lies with a man named Ruman. Ru is famously obsessed with collecting items from Mars, having scavenged and stored nearly everything he's ever found there. Their current mission was to head toward another planet called Ma-Cho, and so their spaceship was already on its way toward Ma-Tang. However, a sharp-eyed and brave young woman named Doi catches something odd in the data logs. She urges Ru to pause and check if the professor's video might have arrived. But Ru, comfortable in his mission and excited to stay the course, dismisses her concern. He decides to head to Ma-Cho as originally planned. Doi, sensing something was terribly wrong, decides to take matters into her own hands. She nervously accesses the video logs and watches the professor's message, one filled with urgency and real fear. In the background, broken pieces of the research robot lay scattered. Seeing this, their leader is inspired by the excitement to go to Mars. Eventually, Ruman's team does reach the professor's planet. When they arrive, the professor welcomes them warmly, believing they've come in response to his distress call. Without wasting time, he tells them about the monster he witnessed and insists on showing them the very place where he encountered it. He gives them special protective suits and prepares them for the journey. Realizing the study will be extensive and dangerous, the team decides that one of their own, Beta, should remain behind to guard the base camp. They also leave behind a surveillance robot named Luchi, programmed to monitor everything and ensure that Beta couldn't leave without permission. But he does not agree with that decision. While the main team follows the professor to the monster's trail and studies the massive footprints left behind, Beta left in the camp start growing restless. He attempted to sneak out and explore the planet by himself. However, Luchi is relentless. It blocks every exit, monitors every move, and issues warnings whenever someone disobeys. He tries tricking it, even distracting it by playing movies, but Luchi never lets its guard down. Frustrated and angry, Beta eventually tricked it again and attempted to hide from it. In the meantime, Beta sees a strange shadow in their camp. Beta realizes it's the monster. He grabs a shotgun and fires. The shot misses and strikes the wall. The loud bang attracted the mysterious creature, confirming it was indeed the monster, not just their imagination. The monster comes, and two of the team members start running to escape. They set out on a little vehicle and started running out of the camp. But the giant creature still chased them. As they sprint through the wild terrain, they encounter a massive storm and a huge tree. They enter the storm blindly and fall down a steep drop. Disoriented, one of them thinks the other is dead, but they soon realize they're in a hidden, oxygen-rich area filled with strange plants. But their relief is short-lived. The monster is still after them. They keep running and eventually stumble across an abandoned vehicle. However, before they can hide or defend themselves, the monster captures them. This time, the danger is real. But as it turns out, the monster isn't exactly hostile. When the creature sees that Beta's suits can change shape and color, it becomes fascinated. It stops attacking. Chi, furious and frightened, tries to bring the monster down to rescue Beta. But the monster's body behaves oddly, as if it's underwater. Every weapon she uses fails. The attacks are either deflected or absorbed. But the weapons hit Beta very badly. So he ordered to stop the attack. The monster, seemingly begging them to understand, avoids hurting them. Eventually, they arrive at a pond. The monster pauses there, seemingly lost in thought. The group notices other strange, giant beings drinking nearby. Possibly it would be a dream girl of the creature. Yes, it's confirmed. Then something unexpected happens. The monster tidies Beta and delivers him to the lady creature as a gift. But the lady creature avoids it. Then Beta and Chi start escaping from there. In the meantime, Chi turns on a video showing a human wedding proposal. The giant monster watches curiously. To everyone's surprise, it likes the video. When the video ends, the monster seems emotionally touched. The group starts to realize the monster has feelings, perhaps even romantic ones. In a bizarre but sincere twist, the group decides to help the monster win the affection of the girl it seems to like. But the situation is escalating. Back at the research site, the king of their organization is furious. He orders that any creature seen near the monster's footprints be captured immediately. The professor agrees to capture them but not harm them. Ruman, on the other hand, demands results. Capture it at all costs, he insists. And they all set off to find it. On another site, the monster adds a strange thing. It says the girl monster's affection depends on a unique flower found only on this planet. He claims he once saw it blooming. They all set off to find this mysterious flower. But when Beta spots it, he realizes it's not growing from the ground. It's actually attached to the head of a monster. Suddenly, other monsters appear, angry and aggressive. Beta for his life. Just as the situation turns dire, the robot and the original monster arrive and save him. The bond between them grows. In an effort to impress the girl, the monster tries to show that it has wings. But nothing happens, no wings appear. The group laughs, but they don't give up. They decide to help the monster find wings. They believe the feathers of local birds could be used, so they locate a nest and attempt to collect some feathers. They disguise themselves as birds, but the mother bird misunderstands and attacks, thinking her chicks are under threat. The team barely escapes, but they manage to snatch a few feathers. With that, they construct a pair of makeshift wings for the monster. Now fully committed to helping their new friend, the team searches for all the remaining items needed for a special ceremony, a love ritual complete with glowing fireflies and soft feathers. As night falls, they plan to rest before executing the final plan. But the monster has its own plans. In the middle of the night, it sneaks into camp and gently removes the bar, a sort of badge or decoration used in the ceremony. The next morning, the team finds it missing and assumes the monster is injured. They rush to help and discover that the monster has actually healed itself by diving into the water. This water, rich in oxygen and healing minerals, acted like a balm for the monster's battered form. When the lady monster soaked in the healing pool, the others used the opportunity to set their grand plan in motion, the plan that might finally bring love between the beautiful wild monsters. However, the male monster, still dazed, accidentally slipped and fell deeper into the water. The little giant, who had been watching from a distance, couldn't help but laugh at the clumsy fall. Embarrassed, the monster quickly tried to crawl away and hide before she saw too much. But the little giant wasn't laughing to mock him. She followed, gently stopped him, and said the words that changed everything. She liked him too. Their plan had worked. The bond they had been trying to build through all their efforts was finally real. The little giant's acceptance made the monster feel seen, perhaps for the first time in his life. The team was thrilled. They had done it. What had started as a mission of exploration had become something much more: connection. Meanwhile, the professor and the other team members found out what had happened. While some celebrated this breakthrough, the professor remained focused, analyzing the incoming data. Through a communication link with Luchi, the camp robot, the professor reviewed images and footage that the robot had been collecting all this time. To his surprise, the photos revealed something extraordinary. There was an underground world beneath the planet's surface. A whole network of life that no one had known existed. And in that world, more monsters like the one they had met were living peacefully. Now, the mission leader ordered his team to capture the monsters no matter what. He even suggested using sharp weapons to subdue it. Then they all rushed to capture the monsters. Here, Chi suggests that Beta capture the monsters, and suggests using his gun. But Beta protested, saying these monsters were now their friends, part of their family. But their argument was cut short by strange noises in the distance. Ruman and his team had already been approached. They track monsters and prepare for an ambush. Beta goes to save the monsters. But Rumon thanks him for finding this hidden creature. Now, the monster also realizes that Beta is one of the crew members, not his friend. Then the monster sees that they have captured his crush. So he immediately goes to save her. It was a chaotic scene. After a lot of effort, he saved the girl monster and sent her away to escape. But despite his bravery, he was eventually shot by a tranquilizer cannon. Fortunately, the shot missed a direct hit and the monster collapsed. They capture him and go to their base. The team celebrated the capture, thinking the danger was finally over. The professor, after 3 decades of work, thought his moment of glory had arrived. He began rehearsing a grand speech, ready to be recognized by the Interstellar Council for his contributions. But Rumon, who had worked hard through all this, wasn't happy. He told the professor bluntly that it was the team, not just him, that deserved the honor. Meanwhile, the robot Luchi looked at the captured monster and felt a deep sadness. Something about it didn't sit right. Then, Luchi quietly showed Beta a hidden video file, one he had secretly recorded. In it, Beta saw the monster protecting him throughout the night. In fact, the monster had been wounded not from fighting them, but from defending Beta against other dangers while he slept. That changed everything for Beta. He realized this creature wasn't just a beast, it had feelings too. Determined to make things right, Beta raced back to the lab where the monster was being held. But before he could free him, the professor entered the room. What happened next shocked Beta. The professor revealed his true intentions. 30 years of work had made him bitter and obsessed. If no one would honor him for his discovery, he would force their recognition by unleashing something far more dangerous. He injected the monster and took a strange serum, an experimental power enhancer. He used the same serum to take control of his own robots, turning them into loyal attack units. At first, he caught Beta and the monster to send another planet to crash. After that, with his new army, he launched an assault on the team preparing to return to Earth. As explosions rocked the research facility, and the others fought bravely, but the professor's forces were overwhelming. Eventually, they were all captured. Another side, oxygen levels dropped quickly inside their ship. Beta and the monster, still weak, were slowly suffocating. Just when all hope seemed lost, Luchi arrived and saved the group. He helped restore oxygen and stopped the base from collapsing. But it came at a cost. Luchi had to sacrifice himself. He hurled the damaged power core out of the airlock and was thrown into space with it. His last act was one of pure courage. Beta mourned his loss, and the monster, now conscious, gently carried Beta to safety. Together, the monster and Beta made their way back to the surface. The monster was still recovering, so Beta helped him as best as he could. He pulled him through the forest and across a ridge, never giving up. Just when it looked like he would collapse, the cute female monster arrived and helped them reach a reservoir. There, as the unconscious monster lay resting by the water, something incredible happened. He began to grow wings. Strong, radiant wings that shimmered in the sunlight. He was finally ready to fly. Meanwhile, the professor, unaware of the monster's transformation, returned to his ship to prepare his final attack. He was ready to detonate the facility, destroy the underground world, and frame the event as a heroic discovery gone wrong, anything to win honor. But before he could act, the monster and his team returned. They stormed the launch pad, deactivated the explosives, and faced off against the professor's robot army one last time. This time, Beta and the monster fought side by side. Beta moved with precision and bravery, while the monster, using his new wings and strength, swept through the battlefield like a heroic spirit. Eventually, they defeated the last robot. But the professor wasn't done yet. In a last-ditch effort, he injected himself with another dose of the serum and mutated into a monstrous form. A final battle erupted in the spaceship's control room. During the fight, Beta noticed the same chemical that had given the professor his power, the original batch still resting in the room. With no other option, Beta grabbed it and hurled it at the professor, causing a massive explosion. For this, the professor and Beta were flung out into space, and somehow, the monster friend helped Beta to survive. The dust settled. Peace returned. Back on the surface, the team reunited with the forest creatures and monsters. Everyone was safe, But one last problem remained. Ruman, the greedy leader, was still trying to catch animals for his own fame. That's when one of the bird creatures, fed up with his arrogance, gave him a powerful kick and sent him collapsing, ending his schemes once and for all. With their mission complete and their bonds stronger than ever, the group bid farewell to the monsters. They said their goodbyes with heavy hearts but grateful souls. And just like that, the story came to an end, an unforgettable journey of friendship, trust, and the fight for peace on a mysterious planet far from home.